I didn't come to Nick for comfort. I didn't even come for company. I just needed a place to break, where no one would ask why. And maybe that's why it happened the way it did. Quiet, slow, like a fuse burning down to the last inch. Not what I thought I needed until I let go. Before we start, if these stories hit you, hit like and subscribe. It keeps them coming. If you're new, welcome. Let's get to it. I gave him too much, and I knew it. That's the first thing I said, stumbling through his door in a rundown Chicago suburb. I didn't mean to say it. I didn't even mean to be there. But when everything fell apart that night, really fell apart, I found myself driving, not thinking, steering through the dark like it knew the way. Somehow, I ended up on his street. He didn't ask why I was crying on his porch at midnight. He didn't say a word as I brushed past and sank into the kitchen table I remembered from when I was too small to reach it. He just put water on the stove, like always, and waited until I was ready. The words spilled out before I touched the tea. Now it sat there, cold, untouched, soaked in everything I didn't know how to say. He sat across from me, calm in that way that made the world feel like it hadn't shattered, even when it had. I tried to hold it together, but the silence made it worse. The walls, the mug, even the faint tick of the kitchen clock, everything felt too solid, like the room was waiting for me to crack. He didn't speak, and that made it worse. I let him say all the right things, I muttered, like I didn't know what he wanted. I ran a hand through my hair, hoping the motion would shake the tightness in my chest. It didn't. It only reminded me his scent still clung to me. A ghost I didn't want. I let myself believe it meant something. I was wrong. Nick, now 42, stood. Not sudden, not even out of pity. He moved without sound, like he could sidestep my mess. He went to the cupboard, grabbed another mug, filled the kettle again, like he wouldn't let my chaos take over the room. I stared at the table, scratched in places I knew. There was still that nick near the edge from when I dropped a glass during one of those awkward family dinners. The familiarity made it worse. I didn't belong here, but I didn't want to leave either. When he came back with the tea, I couldn't meet his eyes. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I shouldn't be here." He crouched beside me instead of answering, resting a hand lightly on my shoulder. Not pushing. Nothing more. My whole body tensed, not because it was wrong, but because it felt too kind. I didn't deserve kind right now, but I didn't move. I closed my eyes. For a second, it stretched into something longer, not rest, not comfort, just a stillness I hadn't let myself feel in weeks. When I finally looked at him, I wanted to explain, to give him a reason for showing up like this. All I said was, I didn't know where else to go. The tea was cold by then. I didn't touch it. Neither did he. We sat in the same space, the same air, the same silence. His hand had left my shoulder a while ago, but the stillness stayed, not on my skin, but somewhere in the room. Like the space between us remembered it. I could hear the hum of the old fridge, the soft tick of the clock. My pulse wasn't racing anymore, but it wasn't steady either. I hated how small I felt, how familiar it was. He stood again, quiet, not rushed. His chair scraped the tile as he moved, and the sound jolted me more than I wanted. "The guest room's made up," he said, almost to the clock. Not me. "If you want to lie down." I nodded but didn't move. He didn't push. He started to walk away. And that's when something in me pulled back, not loud, not desperate, but a tug behind my ribs when someone you didn't know you leaned on starts to leave. I reached out, touched his arm, not to stop him, not even firm enough to hold, just a pause. He stopped, looked down. I felt ridiculous, too dramatic, too raw. But he didn't move. I kept my hand there a second, maybe two, then let go. "Will you stay?" I asked, not looking at him. He didn't answer right away. I heard the hesitation in his breath, faint but there. "Not long." I added, "Just a minute." He nodded, pulled the chair back, this time not across from me, but beside me, not touching, not crowding. Closer, present. I stared at the floor. He stared at nothing. We didn't speak. And still, it felt like something shifted, not big, not sudden, but enough. I leaned back in my chair, pressing my palms to my thighs, trying to quiet the part of me that didn't know how to sit still anymore. "It's too quiet here," I said, almost without thinking. He didn't reply, but I felt him listening. We didn't talk for a long time. The room held its breath, not empty, but heavy, settling on your shoulders and letting you breathe for the first time in hours. I hadn't touched my tea in years. It seemed he didn't either, but neither of us moved to change it. He sat far enough to give me space, close enough that a slight shift would close the gap. I didn't shift, not on purpose, but at some point, I leaned back, turned slightly, resting my elbow on the chair's arm, my shoulder tilting toward him. It wasn't a move, not even conscious. Maybe gravity, maybe relief. He noticed. I could tell from the way his body stayed still, not tense, not uneasy, alert. I tilted my head toward him, not enough to land anywhere, but enough to let the weight of the night pull me closer. "I keep replaying it," I said, my voice low, tired. Everything I missed, everything I let happen. He didn't interrupt, didn't tell me I was wrong. That was what I didn't know I needed until it didn't happen. "I'm not stupid," I said, almost to myself. I wanted to believe it wasn't like that. He let out a slow breath through his nose. Not agreement, not pity, something softer than both. "I think I knew," I said. I didn't want to ruin it by naming it. He glanced at me, but I didn't look. I was staring at the floor, or maybe at nothing. I didn't want to see his face. I needed space. A minute passed, maybe more. And then, without meaning to, I shifted toward him, not falling, not breaking, just my shoulder brushing his for a second. Nothing more. I didn't look, didn't explain. I let it happen. He didn't move. The silence between us, the silence that had felt like shame, started to change. It wasn't empty anymore. It felt like permission, like I didn't have to fill it with excuses or apologies. We sat like that for a while. Nothing dramatic. Nothing said. The kind of quiet that doesn't ask anything of you. My eyes closed. Not for sleep, not for weight, but because the silence finally caught up with me. I didn't try to get closer. I didn't ask for anything. I just needed someone who wouldn't leave. And this time, he didn't. I don't know how long I sat there. But when I opened my eyes, he was looking at me. He didn't look away, didn't clear his throat or pretend he wasn't staring. He just held it, still, focused, like he saw through me. And I didn't look away either. No smile, no invitation. But the room felt different. He felt different. Or maybe I did. Maybe something in me finally stopped pretending it needed more time. The space between us didn't feel respectful anymore. It felt unfinished. I sat up slowly, not cautious, letting my feet point toward him. He mirrored the move, just enough. I reached for him, not his hand, but his face. And when my fingers grazed his jaw, the silence shattered like glass. He didn't speak as I leaned in. He didn't need to. Our mouths met. No hesitation. Not gentle. Not uncertain. It was the kind of kiss that rewrites memory. The kind that doesn't ask permission because it already knows the answer. He tasted like everything I'd tried to forget safety and danger in the same breath. His hand cupped the side of my neck, and when my body pressed into him, he didn't flinch. He pulled me closer. I shifted into his lap, like it was where I'd always belonged. My knees tightened, closing the distance. The table pressed into my back, but I didn't care. I wasn't thinking about comfort. I was thinking about more. His hands moved slow at first, along my waist, up my spine, around my hips, like he was tracing something he didn't want to lose. I felt his breath on my shoulder, then my throat, then lower. Each move a question he already knew I'd answer. His shirt crumpled under my hands, but I didn't stop to pull it. I wasn't focused on layers, only heat, only closeness. My palms pressed against him, searching for something solid. He shifted beneath me, and I adjusted, my body locking tighter with his. We weren't careful anymore. We weren't even talking, just breath, pressure, permission. He kissed down my neck again, slower, like he wanted to memorize the sound I made when I leaned into it. When he lifted me slightly, I moved with him. My legs tightened. My mouth found his again. Hungrier, uneven, real. Nothing about it felt rehearsed. It felt like surrender. I opened my eyes, and I didn't want it to stop. I didn't know how long our rhythm went on. Time collapsed with every shift, every muffled sound, every breath I couldn't catch. My back arched without meaning to. His grip answered in kind. The way we fit was waiting and urgent, like something held back too long. I didn't feel like a woman breaking anymore. I felt like someone arriving. My hands gripped his shoulders, his jaw threaded through his hair, like I could anchor myself there. My breath was too fast. His was in my ear. I couldn't tell his from mine anymore. Every nerve in me woke up. Every part of me reached, pulled, opened. And when he pressed his forehead to mine, I let out a sound I didn't know I'd been holding back for years. No boundaries, no lines, no reason to slow down. We'd crossed the point of wondering what it meant. I'd surrendered before. His name was there in my breath. I couldn't hold it back. I pressed tighter, my mouth to his shoulder, my arms to his back. I didn't want space. I didn't want time. I just wanted to stay inside that moment, like I could stretch it longer by saying nothing. Because in that moment, I didn't doubt or ask. I let go. And he was still there. That was the moment I stopped holding back. Some moments don't need explaining. Just a look, a hand, a choice you can't take back. Be honest. Would you have been there? What would you have done? Tell me in the comments. I'm reading. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next story. Thanks for watching.